Welcome back, everyone. We never miss a Told in Stone video. We have getting good seats at the Colosseum. Um, I, I imagine it's going to be very much classes, or it's just pay to enter. So there's a difference between the two. Classes means you can't go there because of you're not a certain rank of nobility, XYZ. But pay to play or pay to sit in this situation means it really doesn't matter who you are. As long as you got the cash, you can sit wherever you want. I think it's more the former than the latter. But let's see what we got. Let's go.
In fact, these days, there are no good seats at the Colosseum.
No.
In fact, thanks to centuries of enthusiastic plundering, there are no seats at all. But when the amphitheater was whole, it had places for more than 50,000 spectators.
That's huge. That's like an NFL stadium.
During the great imperially sponsored games, when most of Rome's million inhabitants were competing for those 50,000 or so seats, your chances of getting
Wait, isn't that technically seats right there? Like in frame? Bottom? Like flat seats? Like bench? Like stone bench?
a good seat depended on who you were, who you knew, and how creatively you exploited both. Like the other entries in my Time Traveler's Guide to Ancient Rome, this video provides hypothetically practical advice to modern tourists with the wherewithal to visit Imperial Rome.
Okay.
This time, we'll explore how our hypothetical time traveler could get a seat, and, with a bit of maneuvering, a good seat, during the games at the Colosseum.
Let's do it.
First, a bit of background. Seating in the Colosseum, like so much else in the Roman world, was regimented by social class.
I knew it. So you don't have a pay-to-play situation. So I'm sure he's going to talk through this, so I won't steal his thunder.
The best seats, closest to the arena, were reserved for the emperor, Vestal virgins, and senators.
Oh, okay. So in the regard of what is a good seat, it's closest to the... Okay.
This section, known as the podium, consisted of marble terraces designed to carry the chairs from which the elite surveyed the world. Every spectator in this privileged tier was attended by at least one slave, who would carry their chair, shield them from the sun, and serve refreshments. Above the podium was the Colosseum's equivalent of business class, tiers of wide marble seats where members of the equestrian order sat in relative ease and comfort, separated from the masses by a high stone wall. The main seating section was above the equestrians. Here, row after row of narrow marble benches held the bulk of the audience, all male, all Roman citizens, all sweating in their wool togas. These seats were divided into dozens of sections reserved for members of various guilds and associations.
Okay.
The highest and worst seats were located along the rim of the perimeter wall, in the stifling semi-darkness just below the awning that shielded the arena from sun and rain. In this section, slaves, women, and other low-status spectators stood shoulder to shoulder on tiers of rickety wooden planks, 50 meters and a world away from the senators in their padded seats. Having reviewed how seating worked, let's move on to practicalities. Gladiators only fought in the Colosseum about a dozen times in an average year. Time travelers who want to see the arena in action should thus plan their visit to coincide with Saturnalia, when the emperors almost always put on a series of games. Those with an appetite for the truly spectacular should point their time machines toward 80 AD, when Titus dedicated the Colosseum with a series of splendid events, or toward 107 AD, when Trajan staged games that lasted 4 months and featured no fewer than 5,000 pairs of gladiators.
Wow. Wow.
Now, how to get tickets. The tickets used in the Colosseum were known as tesserae. Sometimes, tesserae were lead or ceramic tokens. Often, they were just shards of pottery. Whatever form they took, they showed 3 numbers: gate, section, and row.
I wonder how easy it would be to counterfeit that.
On the day of the games, a spectator showed his tessera to an attendant, who directed him to the proper gate. Ushers in the stands ensured that he sat in the proper section and row.
So similar today. Like, not much has changed at all there.
The games held in the Colosseum were free. Tesserae, however, were in limited supply. They were not sold. Instead, they were given in blocks to important individuals and guilds. These men and organizations could then distribute them as they wished to friends and clients. Time travelers looking to get their hands on a tessera have a few options. Short of just stealing one, which would be unwise for several reasons, all these options begin with finding a well-connected Roman friend. If you've chosen your persona well, see the first video in this series for more advice on that crucial topic. This will not be difficult. After impressing a potential patron, ideally over dinner, more on that in a future video, time travelers will usually have to do no more than gently suggest to their host that they would like to attend the forthcoming games. The quality of the seat obtained by these tactics will depend on the identity of your patron and the nature of your chosen persona. Many prominent Romans had access to both guest seats in their own sections and client seats in the less desirable stands high above. You'll only be given one of the cherished guest seats if you manage to convince your host that you are both fascinating and important. One way of achieving this would be to hint that you're on some sort of diplomatic mission.
Oh, I wonder how many times that was a farce where people just used those types of excuses to kind of get their way. And I wonder how sought after these. I mean, it seems like it was very sought after given there was this limited supply of said tesserae. But would you, if you had an option to go, would you go? Would you pass it up? That's what I'm thinking.
Since ambassadors were customarily seated with senators in the front rows. A less risky strategy would be to simply present yourself as a person of wealth and distinction in your distant native land, and hope that your patron wants to be seen with an exotic visitor. The best-case scenario is a seat on the podium beside the senators. If you manage to pull this off, you'll have a superb vantage point, both for watching action on the arena and for gawking at the emperor, whose box was located among the senatorial seats. You can also look forward to a comfortable chair, gourmet refreshments, and fine wine. If your seat is located in the equestrian section, you'll still have plenty of legroom, but you will be sitting on hard marble, so bring a seat cushion. You'll also have to bring your own food, or be ready to order it during intermissions.
I didn't even know that. I wonder what kind of food you'd eat. I know they have like dates and olives and lots of bread, but I wonder about others.
If your host decides that you are not, in fact, important, and relegates you to the main seating section with his other clients, you can count on a narrow place on a narrow bench, where you will be elbowed, kneed, and otherwise jostled for the duration of the games. If you value personal space,
That's kind of like, do I really want to go type. If I'm in Maine, do I really want to go if I'm in Maine?
In short, get ready for a very long day. Finally, if the only seat your host cares to give you is located on the wooden benches along the rim of the arena, be prepared to stand all day. And know that, unless you happen to have exceptional eyesight, the action on the arena will be all but invisible.
Nosebleeds.
If this happens to you, I'd suggest traveling to a different era, finding a better patron, and trying again.
Wow. Very short and sweet, but we love these videos. Kind of gives you an insight. I really like this diagram right here. It really tells you like this. It tells like the whole story. So you have the arena, you have the podium where you have senators, magistrates, priests. Then you have the premium, which is the equestrians. Then you have the emium, general citizens. Then you have the summum, which you got non-citizens, foreigners, which that's an interpretation. Or, so you ain't got no money. Or slaves. And then above that, you got in Lagnes, women. So in a classist society, two things. Were women put below slaves? Because in this diagram, they were. But that's up to interpretation, I guess, what this all looks like and what does it mean. Overall, though, it's a quite interesting way of doing things, especially that this was not... It technically was free to go to these places if you had said tesserae. However, it's not free because everything that you've done up to your life at this point is exchanged for your tesserae and where you sit. So, interesting stuff. Thank you guys for watching another fun episode of Told in Stone. If you have specific episodes or specific videos from Told in Stone that you want me to react to next, let me know. But until next time, out. Bye-bye. Have a great day.